Okay, so we're officially on the Midweek Howl, which we have to clarify some things for some listeners. Apparently, Jason is super producers. He hasn't been on the Midweek Howl forever. So for those who couldn't follow along, and I'm not, I'm just, it just made me realize maybe some people don't know that the Ozark Howler is a totally different person than Jason the super producer. Right? I mean,
you're asking me that, or you're asking them that?
Well, I was kind of hoping you'd join in. I mean, other than drinking, whatever it is you're drinking.
What I wanted to say was, I hesitated, okay, because I don't want to offend any more people, right?
Yeah, let's not offend any more people because we're not really in the.
So I started to say,
real fans know who Jason Super Producer is.
And on the spectrum of people, first of all, I took that as a great compliment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because back in my old days, when I was practicing tradecraft, okay, to mistaken me to say that I could pull off or go undercover or be confused with a black militant truck driver is like, it's like bonus material for me. You know what I mean? Or is it the other way, and he pulls off the Beverly Hillbillies Ozark citizen?
Exactly. Which
could be even a bigger stretch than me playing a black militant.
And for those who aren't in on it, for those who are do follow the podcast and know and see, Jason basically is a bald-headed black man with a big Amish beard. Looks kind of like Shaft.
I was going to say Mr. T with a beard back in the day. People know who
with
Mr.
glasses. And Jason wears glasses.
Doesn't wear the gold.
Yeah, doesn't wear all the gold.
So I was just thinking. Go ahead.
Yeah. People that have seen Jason. Jason and I have some scenes in the Escape from Death Block 13. It's no mystery who Jason is. You know what I'm saying? He has a very deep, distinctive voice.
Like who's one of the great?
It's like Barry White voice.
Yeah, I was going to say Al Jones or something like that.
Al Jones,
isn't Al Jones a speaker?
No, you're thinking of. He kind of has
Al Green.
Al Green. The guy that does I can't think of him. The guy that does Darth Vader's voice.
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. That's kind of this guy. And you have a very distinctive voice, but you're about 8 inches and of course nobody could see you, but I just found it comical that people were they got on after our little talk last week about,
and they jumped on me. Go ahead and tell the audience what they did. They jumped on me.
They jumped on you and me, saying that we had thin skin and that I folded like a chair, basically.
Which you usually do.
Yeah, no, but they don't need to point it out and make me feel bad. But the person didn't even know that it was you and not Jason. And I'm thinking, well, how serious can we take somebody who's not in on the joke? Okay, come on, you got to be in on the joke. But I will say, when we when we go off on a left-hand turn and we go down those ways, our real fans, the people that have been with us for a long time and that correspond with us, they really support us. We got some good reviews, and which is, I hate to say it, it really is important to get good reviews because it kind of moves you up and lets more people hear. But you know what? I don't know that we want more people to hear the Midweek Howl. I think we got a great core audience that really appreciates our nonsense and supports us. And I shared with you the best on YouTube, the best response we got.
Manitoba
Mike in Manitoba. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that I chose the Howler and Shane to be my life coaches 100%. I don't know what it. And Mike, he sends me stuff on Instagram every now and then. He's a good dude. I don't know him other than him sending me some stuff on Instagram, but I know he supports us, and he's in on the joke, so to speak.
I hope he invites me to the fish house someday. I don't know, the ice fish in Manitoba, or how far west is that? I don't know.
I don't know my Canadian
You betcha.
provinces, and then we have some really good Canadian fans. We have some great Canadian fans, which
Winnipeg is the only place I'm familiar with up there. Golly, I think Winnipeg is in Manitoba.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here.
There you go.
God, I hope I didn't make you mad.
No, I think he's
Winnipeg.
So for all the people
man, I wonder what the weather's up there doing tonight. Have you ever been there?
No, I've never been.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to look up the weather right here. For people that think I lived in Minnesota for a while, and if people, we had to go up to Winnipeg, it was the place that the people from Minnesota cried about. Okay, 1 degree.
Oh gosh.
And it is going to be by this next weekend. -12 is the high. -26 is the low.
Oh,
like
God.
Next Tuesday.
So Mike in Manitoba, if you're inviting us up, we'll see you in June or July.
I'm telling you,
we're not coming now.
They have got to have true Canadians. And when I say true, people that have been there 100 years, people who could trace their DNA back 100, have got to be the toughest in North America. Maybe some Inuits and some people up there in Alaska or whatever. But oh my gosh, can you imagine how tough his great grandparents had to be?
His probably the people that
whatever. The people that not the people
settled the place,
walking down the road, huh?
Yeah, the people that settled the place.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And now the sad part is, and this was segues into what I was telling you, bring me to a hitchhiker story. Can you imagine how tough you would have to be a hitchhiker in Manitoba right now?
Would you hitchhike in Manitoba right now? No matter how tough
if you had to, I don't know.
I mean, we had a little bit of. We've probably had 2 or 3 inches of snow today, but I run a relatively large elementary girls and boys basketball league that plays on Sundays here in North Central Ohio. And I have a head official who schedules all the refs. And he got a hold. It barely started snowing. Christy'd already left to drive to church. And he's texting me. He goes, I got refs already canceling to go do games. And I'm like, it's barely even snowed. What's wrong with these people? And in the whole league, we had to end up canceling all the games today. And it's not worth some kids being maybe wrecking in the ditch or something because of snow. But the distance of our league is so great that in the northwest part of the league, they didn't have any snow. In the southeast part of the league, they were under level 1, 2 snow advisories, so we in Canada, I think they would have just thought it was a normal.
Do they play basketball in Canada?
Oh, come on. Yeah, they play basketball in Canada, of course. They got the Toronto Raptors and the Vancouver Grizzlies, who are now in Memphis, because I don't know why right? That's where they started. But speaking of tough, before we get to your hitchhiker story, okay, I want to throw this out to everybody. I've got a friend, you know him. I'm not going to name his name. I'm not even going to give too much.
Are we going to say he's tough?
Well,
let's make a name up for him.
John. We'll call him John. So my buddy and your acquaintance is a retired.
The guy that introduced us.
The guy that introduced us is a retired professional. Okay, he by the pure luck of the inadequacy of the post office record keeping in the early 80s, allowed him to, and he didn't retire from the post office, but those years that he didn't really work got added on to where he worked. It allowed him to retire at 49. He's now about 56. And this gentleman super smart, very professional, well put together, happens to like the company of younger women. Always has. Okay. And he does not look his age. He's very fit, uh, pretty hip dude. Um, but and in fact, he had a sort of a long relationship, long for him, since he'd been married, of a couple years with a much younger. I mean, she was, I God, 30 years younger than him. They lived together and stuff, and they just recently split up because he has no interest in getting married or having any more kids. His one child is in graduate school, college, and so he he is on the dating apps, which is something I've never been on. Um, I'm assuming you've never been on.
No,
You've
I
never been
wouldn't
on,
even know.
yeah.
Did they? I mean, they didn't even have them back in my day.
No, well, exactly. And then
I
when
mean, right?
when I went through my separation and divorce, I, I guess luckily, there's no other way to say it. I was friends with Christy, and one thing led to another, and decided we started dating, and there you go. That was it. So I never really had to play, go out there and, try to find a date or whatever, I guess. Thankfully for probably more thankfully for everybody else out there. But so my buddy, um, he's on these apps, and he meets a lot of younger girls, and which is really crazy. I mean, um, a lot of these girls in their early 20s, um, are looking for situations, you know. And when I say situations, I mean they're looking to be taken care of financially. And then there's some that really don't even care about that. They just want the company of somebody who seems to know what they're doing. If if that if that makes
No,
any
you're
sense.
confusing me already, and I knew
Okay.
you were going to talk about this. So I'm
Okay.
sure the listeners are turning the dial right now.
Okay. Well, anyway, it runs the gamut from girls who would like a financial arrangement. Okay. Girls that are in their 21, 21, 22, 20.
Sugar daddy, wanting a sugar
Sugar,
daddy.
they want a sugar daddy. Okay. Or girls that just don't like dating guys their own age because all they want to do is go to Taco Bell and have the girl sit there and watch them play video games. Okay. So they're, like apparently the guys in their early 20s are lame. Okay. So I'm used to hearing about these women
Now,
that
is
he
that because
meets.
the girls are that
I don't know, like
you,
maybe they're
how do I choose my words here? But they're that uninteresting.
I don't think so. I think young people as a whole are very selfish and self-centered. I mean, I hate to
Whoa,
label them
man,
that
you're going
way.
right down
I
downtown,
look,
aren't you?
I am because I have experience with young
Oh
people
yeah. Mm-hmm.
through coaching and daughters who they're very selfish and they're very self-centered. I mean, it just is, and they don't realize it until something smacks them in the face, metaphorically, and wakes them up a little bit and says, "Oh, okay, maybe it isn't all about me." And I think that's what happened.
Some
So
of
I'm
them
used.
never get that smack, that,
Yes,
right?
they never get it. So I'm used to hearing this stuff, okay, about these young girls, and and they're looking for somebody to help them with their car payment or their
Now,
cell
see,
phone payment. And I'm not going to say I'm not going to say if he does or doesn't help him out, but he's a very, he's a gentleman. Okay. So I think his view is if you're nice and you treat me well, I'll help you out any way I can. Okay. So I'm used to hearing that. Okay. But I'm always on him. Hey, look, you need to find somebody your own age. Okay. Or closer to your own age. So he met somebody through one of these dating apps who is in their early 30s, which still isn't his own age, but a little more mature than what he's dating. And I think this woman had 3 children, and they've met or they've been talking. And he tells me, he said, this woman is kind of, she's got some strange interests. I'm like, oh boy, what's this?
That's what I'm
Well,
talking about.
well, apparently she calls herself a submissive. And so my buddy's like, I don't even really know what that means. Like a submissive. And I'm thinking, of course I'm thinking like she likes to be chained up.
Yeah, I
She
was gonna
likes
say
to
tied, but
like
chain
like
no.
s- yeah, tied up, chained up, beat. What what I don't know what this means. Like led around by a dog collar, my mind is like running wild here. Like like to me that is so I'm like, what is this all about? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, I got to find out some more. He goes, because I'm intrigued, but I'm kind of also a little alarmed. What if this is something that, like involves wax and like, you know, nipple piercings
Wax
or
would be
something?
fine. It's the damn cat of nine tails comes out. That's what it spooked me.
So, so anyways, he talks to the woman again, and he says, you're never going to believe this, but she described to me what being a submissive is. I'm like, okay. And he goes, so her idea of a submissive is she's going to cook for me. She's going to maybe clean. Um, she rub my feet, rub my shoulders, maybe even do my laundry. I'm like, wait a second. That's a submissive? That just sounds to me like what we've been working with of the definition of a housewife, from like Leave It to
The
Beaver
50s,
age.
yeah.
Yeah. I go, now all of a sudden that's considered a submissive? And he goes, yeah. He goes, can you believe? He goes, that's how twisted everything has gotten, is that just just being a good homemaker makes you a submissive person. That's your kink. Is you like cooking a good meal and rubbing somebody's feet.
Well, I don't know
So,
about rubbing feet. I mean, come on, dude.
but that's what she
Rub
told
some
me.
nasty ass feet on
Yeah, well,
somebody.
yeah. Like I don't expect anybody to rub my feet after a day on the mail route, but I mean, I know Christy's not, but I'm just saying. So how did that? How did something seemingly normal turn into a fetish?
Well, you want me to go there?
Well, within reason. I mean, there's
It
no reason.
started about 100 years ago in Wyoming when they give the women the right to vote,
Oh, jeez.
and we've just been going downhill since. Certain places, this hill was covered with ice patches where the decline sped up, like in the late 60s, and certainly we're going through the decline right now.
I'm not sure how that correlates to cooking becoming a kink, like a something outlandish. But hey. So I mean, I'm sure with all of our listeners, we have some listeners that have used dating apps that have come across this sort of thing, and like I would certainly be interested in hearing some people's thoughts on this, because to me that doesn't even seem crazy. Does it to you?
Man, I'm so warped. How would I know what's crazy? You know what I mean?
I don't know, but I I don't know. I just thought, all this time. I mean, maybe think and say, like, my mom was a submissive, and that was her kink. Like she liked to cook and clean. I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, it just seems very
That's
odd.
because we have generations of people that aren't raised to cook or clean it for themselves, much less another person.
There you go. Well, okay. See, there you go. That's a little bit different perspective, I guess. You know.
That's a succinct way to put it.
I mean,
But
it almost makes you think they need to change like the home economics title for that class. Like it
now
should be.
they don't call it home ec anymore. They call it facts.
They call what?
They call it facts.
Facts?
Hmm.
What? What? What is that?
Dude, I'm looking it up.
Facts like FAC.
Okay, this is why is home economics not taught in school anymore? STEM under enrolled in competitive college requirements because so they don't even teach it because of STEM. Now they call it facts. Hold on, I'm getting to the acronym. They're blaming it on college recruitment. Okay, hold on a second. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it.
Well, I'm sure somebody's screaming at the radio, or they're like, "Hey, this is what it means." But I never understood why. I mean, home economics and stuff was not required when I was in school. To me, that's the one thing
I took it. Didn't you take it?
I didn't take it. I took typing.
Oh, come on! I took typing too, and I got booted out for something. I don't remember what.
Talking in class, maybe.
And now I can type like the wind. Did you hear me just Google this up a second ago? I can type like the wind.
Mm-hmm. Type like the wind.
I can type like the wind.
Well, while we're waiting for Google to pick,
it doesn't matter. It's redirecting me to a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh boy!
On you know what I mean? It's
well, if anybody's got the answer to why home economics,
send it to Shane. I could get one of my kids down here and they could tell me, but then they would want to talk, or I'm 99% sure home ec is called facts now, and I don't know if it's FACTS, FACS,
FAX.
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh jeez. Well, now that we've tied into the submissive kinks on a dating website to learning home economics as a junior in high school,
which is one and the same, right?
I remember my high school days.
To be submissive back in our day.
Could be. I'm interested though. You told me you had a hitchhiker story. How does
I was driving out. I had to go to a meeting. I had a meeting this week.
So it's a current. It's a right now hitchhiking story.
Yeah, couple days ago.
Oh, okay. All right.
So about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, somebody in my space called me and said, "Hey, we're having this meeting down here, and we want you to come." Anyway, so I said I'll be there and I'll put it in my calendar. And it's about 137 miles down there one way, down the crookedest, worst road in South Central Missouri you can find. Borderline worst one. So I put it. I had two things to do. I had a Wednesday and a Thursday. Okay, one of them is 60 miles away. One of them is 137 miles away. That's one-way mileage. One of them is at noon. One of them is at 4:30. Well, you know what Freud said? Don't believe everything you think. I thought anyway. I drove down to this place on Wednesday, and I walked in this office, and this gal says, the one that invited me, said, "What are you doing here today?" And this is at 10:30. I said, "Don't we have a noon? I told you I'd come early and talk to you about this project." And she said, "That's tomorrow." So I said, "No, it's today." And she said, "You know, it's funny. When I was walking out the door, I almost looked at the calendar on my phone to make sure, but I didn't." So,
because you drove all that way on the
I drove 100. By the time because I always set my trip meter when I get gas. When I came back, I got gas again before I went home, so I was filled up in the morning. 267 miles. So I drove 267 miles to go to a meeting. So, of course, I was coming back. Anyway, I had them switched. And I left there in time. I probably could have went ahead and went to the the 60-mile meeting is 60 miles in the opposite direction. So I had to drive past my house to go an additional 60 miles to go to the meeting that I was wrong on. Does that make sense? My 4:30. So I left her office, and I could have theoretically made it to my 4:30 meeting, but I was car sick from driving. But in this process, she says, "Hey, did you hear about those inmates that escaped?"
Oh yeah, and they caught the ones that caught 4 of them in Ohio.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one didn't they catch? The black guy?
Yeah,
He split off. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we sat there and talked a little bit about this jail. She said it was a prison break. It wasn't. It was a jail break, but whatever. So I said, well, I'll be here tomorrow. So I came home, got up the next day, and I was driving back to that same place, 130 something miles of crooked road, whatever it ended up being. And I get out I got a friend of mine that's got a business between about the halfway point. And when I'm driving through there, I pull in there and talk to him a lot of times. He wasn't there on Wednesday. This was Thursday. And he wasn't there again in the morning because it was I don't know. He just wasn't there. And state road, but it's 2-lane. Anyway, major road. And there's this dude walking, hitchhiking. And I can't tell if he's turning around to hitchhike or he turns around when he sees a car coming just so it doesn't hit him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I drove past him and I hit the brakes and I back up. I put my back window down. I got a crew cab pickup. I put the back window down because I thought, dude, it's kind of misty, rainy, and pick this dude up, right? So I said, hey, you need a ride? He goes, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And he gets in the truck. And when I went by him, I thought he had a mask on.
By the way, I was wrong. The Michael Wilkins guy was the one caught, and I don't think he was the. Huh.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
So as I went by, he had a pair of like old. Remember those blue, like Dickies coveralls people have? The guys that work in a shop or something has a.
Yeah.
So he has this like kind of an old school pair of Dickies, not totally blue, not totally green. You know what I'm talking about? That bluish green. He's got a camo hat, and as I went by, I swear he had a face mask on. And as I'm backing up, I'm looking at my backup camera, and I think, dude, I think this guy's got some kind of a face mask on. Should I pick up a guy with a face mask?
And you're asking yourself this.
I'm asking myself that. And I get to thinking, man, what if my Twitter follow? What if I get killed by some dude down here in the Ozarks by a guy with a mask on? But I had a Glock 357 SIG, full size, Glock 31 so I consider that my brother with 15 cousins in it. And I got it from my old man. Who knows where he got it? So if I need to blast him and throw it in the ditch, who knows where they're going to trace it back to, And I decide I'm going to pick him up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he jumps in the truck, and he wasn't completely dirty. And what I thought to be his mask was just his facial hair. He had a face like Chewbacca.
No, wait a second. Did you pick up a Bigfoot?
He could have been Sasquatch.
Okay.
But it was the dumbest Sasquatch out there because I said, how far? I said, where are you headed to, man? And he said, oh, just up the road to pick up my bike. And I thought,
what?
I'm thinking motorcycle, you know what I mean? I said, what kind of bike you got? So he's getting in. I tell him to put his seatbelt on. He tells me he's getting his bike. So I'm trying to condense the story because I'm telling it longer than he was in my truck. I said, what kind of bike you got? He said, actually, it's just an old, Schwinn 10-speed. And as he says, Schwinn 10-speed, he said, stop. There it is.
So it's like 20 steps away?
It's like 25 yards. We done went past it. I've got to back up, and he's got it laying in the brush along the damn state highway.
What? Why?
And he jumps out and he goes, thanks for the ride, man. I said, no problem, anytime. And I take off and I go, what in the hell just happened to me? Was it Jesus testing me? Right? You know what I mean? So it's Jesus walking down the road, and everybody that stops gets saved, and everybody that don't. And he just ain't got time. Once you get over the threshold of Savior, he's on to the next guy.
Yeah, like there's my bike. I gotta get out. You're safe.
Yes, and then right. So then I passed that mark, but the person that went by him next that didn't pick him up, well, they just didn't pass. Is that what it was?
Wow. Like, and there's no explanation as to why he couldn't walk.
I don't know why his bike was in the ditch in the brush. I don't know why he was walking. So on my way back, I go to this meeting and I do what I need to do, and I come back and I'm probably within a mile of my buddy's shop, and my buddy's shop is a Marine. He's a boat guy, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And bass boats and John boats, and he's just a smart guy. Can do about anything. Can talk about anything. Some days I like to get him on the podcast, but I think he would just he's afraid of the government. He's afraid of different things. But on the way back, I stop in his shop and we're standing there talking. I said, dude, and he's telling me this place is going to hell. This community's going to hell. I've lived here my whole life. And he's told me that off and on the last year or two. So I said, dude, I picked up a hitchhiker. He goes, you picked up a hitchhiker? Are you effing shitting me? And I said, no, why? And he goes, he could have been one of those inmates that escaped. I said, oh, I forgot all about him. That was yesterday's news. I thought for sure they were captured. And then he proceeds to tell me, he said, I'll give you a prime example of how this crap is. He said, I'm working out in the shop one night, and about 10:30, it was the week of Christmas, week after Christmas. It was when it was super cold, and there was a little snow on the ground. He said, so it was real quiet and still. He said, well, I walk out of the shop, and I hear from across the road what sounds like a knockdown, drag out brawl going on with this girl getting her ass kicked. So he said, I called down to the house and told my son-in-law, come up here and listen to this. And the son-in-law came up there and he goes, am I hearing that right? And he goes, oh yeah, we're going to have to do something or call somebody or do something. So he said, all I had was a pistol on me, so I ran in and got a shotgun and got in my pickup. And of course, he's got a diesel pickup, so he's waiting for it to. He's got frost on the windows. He's trying to get to warm up a little bit. He's going to drive across the street. Now he's telling me a story, and I'm like, "You're nuts! If you're going to go and now you're going to go interject yourself in anybody's world, especially with a damn gun." And I asked him, I said, I know you got an FNFAL or something to pack besides a freaking shotgun of all things. You know what I mean? You getting some shit in the Ozarks, you need some heat. The old pump 12 gauge just don't cut it no more. And he said, by the time the truck got started and I was heading over there, my wife had called 911, and here come the cavalry. But he said a car took off down the road. So he said there's a couple state troopers and a couple county mounties, and he said finally one of them come over to him and said, hey, what'd you hear? And this, that, and the other, and he's kind of telling the story, and he said, well, she's saying she was sound asleep when we woke her up. She'd been home all alone.
Okay.
And he's like, what? And she said, the deputy says, well, she thinks maybe some strangers were driving down the street and they must have stopped in front of the house there. And that's what you heard. And he goes, let me get this straight. Some random people are driving down Missouri Highway 8 and they stop right in front of her house and getting this big knockdown drag out. Well, that's what she's saying. That's her theory. He said the trooper come over and said, well, I can see some skid marks. Look like he took off though. They didn't stop. They took off. And he goes, well, as soon as I come out there and the wife was calling, the guy took off. So they just said sorry. So he said the next day she hollered at the neighbor, hollered at him and goes, what in the hell do you think you're doing calling the cops? You know better than call the cops down here. We take care of our own. And he goes, I thought you said nothing happened. She goes, well, nothing really did happen. And he goes, so you were home alone or you weren't home alone? She goes, well, my boyfriend that had the ex parte against him stopped by, but I didn't want him to get in trouble. So what? So he was just telling me that, these people are nuts, right?
And so then when that woman ends up beaten to death, who she got to blame? Nobody, because she's dead,
got herself to blame. She didn't get on that dating app and find our buddy and get taken to the mall so she could get $700 or something. That's what she should get.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out. God only